Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Oh.
It's like treating me as if I'm not as if I don't have a seat. Like it's acting like I'm just like a random person.
You're just a rando.
And I can't change my camera to. Are we live?
I think so.
Wow, this is fantastic.
It's it's week 0.
Yeah.
Is your camera correct?
It's not. It won't let me switch it to 1080p.
Is it stuck on 4K?
Yeah.
It looks good from where I'm sitting.
Oh, it's super choppy on my end. Maybe it's not.
Can I change it on this end?
No idea.
Not while we're recording. You want to stop it and start over? I think I can change it if we're not live, but then is that going to mess up everything you set up?
Well, judging by... Oh, we are live. Yeah. Let's just scroll with it.
Let's see what happens. It does say recording resolution 4K, but that wouldn't change. It's a streaming and recording thing separately.
Looks fine. Let's get into it.
Do I look choppy on your end? I even put background music.
There we go.
Just because. All right. It's week 1. No, it's technically week 1.
Week 0, baby.
Welcome to the Waterboys College Football Pregame Show, week 1. It doesn't feel possible that we're already into college football season.
No, it doesn't at all. It's it almost felt like we jumped from spring ball all the way to week 0, like in the blink of an eye.
I think what that is because we're so used to rosters being like settled, everybody's ready to go, and then it's been a full summer of just weirdness, so that it feels like it just carried through, and now we're in football.
Yeah, I mean, the weirdness is still taking place too. Like we got a dude that was catching passes in NFL preseason that's on a college football roster today. Like, that's crazy. And then every single conference went and made the updates to say, hey, we're not going to allow this. You can't do this. So they all went and made their own little bylaws and all changed all their rules and everything. So, yeah, it's just been a weird start to everything. This morning was weird. First thing I opened when I opened my phone this morning, Aaron, was the edit alarm thing. Scrolled to 7:30, never clicked save, so it was still at 8 o'clock, like my usual work days. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Well, if it's your very first time tuning into the Waterboys live pregame show, we do this every Saturday morning during college football season, 8 a.m. Central. Or if you're lucky like me, you're sitting in Maine staring at a lake, and I didn't have to get up till 8 a.m. if I wanted to. I'm actually at 9 a.m. I'm in the future, which is a weird deal to be in.
Dude, is it better? Is it better there? Better an hour ahead?
Listen, once I leave Maine on Monday, it's everything's downhill from here. It was 108 or something crazy. Left Oklahoma City. I landed in Maine. It was like 80 degrees, and it's been just beautiful and gorgeous the entire time. All right, so it all starts today. Today's marquee games. There's not a whole bunch of them as far as great matchups necessarily, but there are some teams that everybody's interested to see what happens with them. North Carolina TCU is our start game of the day, 11 a.m. Central, but those boys are over there in Ireland.
Oh yeah, the Dublin game. I always forget that's like the first one.
And by the way, we got to quit exporting some of the worst football programs that nothing against TCU and North Carolina, but we got to quit exporting some of the worst college football programs we have over to Ireland. Or maybe we
Why?
don't. Maybe the Irish fans are uneducated and have no idea that it's terrible.
Why is it not Notre Dame every year?
Because that would make sense. And this is college football. We don't do things that make
That's
sense.
true. Too logical.
San Jose State at number 14, USC. That's your 2 o'clock game. NC State at Virginia, 2:30 p.m. And then the late game, New Mexico State at Florida State. Those are the 4 games that we're going to be talking about. Week 1 games will be a lot more deep, but there are some interesting storylines that we'll go through today. We're also going to do top 5 college football mascots that deserve more love. They deserve more love. They don't get enough. And no, we're not. Probably, I would be shocked if we're talking about any mascots in Division I with a select few. There are some banger D2 and D3 mascots, by the way. When I was going through the list, I was like, we should give more love to D2, D3 mascots. We're going to go through the AP top 10 teams on a buy or sell, which is great because it's just getting between the AP poll and the coaches poll. I don't think anybody who has a clue about college football participates in the voting for any of those polls.
We'll get into it when we start talking about it. But again, just like the coaches poll, I think they have the top 7 correct. I just think that the order is weird.
Yeah, no, I agree there.
And then somehow Mizzou got snuck into the top 25 on both of them, which makes 0 sense to me.
Didn't they lose the best player they had last year? Or no? Well, no.
No, Ahmad Hardy. They're bringing back a stud at running back, but I mean, they're not very good. Yeah.
And then we're gonna go just our expectations for the 2026 college football season. Some realities, some takeaways, some of the trending storylines that have been happening since we ended college football season for 2025. And basically the storylines have remained unchanged with the exception of a couple, which, by the way, let's go ahead and kick off the show with that. There is a man, we're going to use that word man because he is older, who played in an NFL preseason game, who's on a college football team roster. I'm confused. What was there a loophole that I was aware of?
Well, with the advent of the NIL, amateurism, the definition of amateurism has had to change. So these players in college football are allowed to have managers now. You know, once you like hired a manager and those types of things back when amateurism was a thing, you couldn't do that. But now you can. And so the definition of amateurism has had to change. So if you have a manager and you haven't played a single snap of NFL football, real NFL football yet, it doesn't take away your amateur status. If you're still within that 5-5 range and you're under 23, you still have, 1 or 2 years of eligibility left if it's within 5 years of your graduating from high school. So it's just kind of a weird deal. I don't think that they ever expected to have to deal with it, but alas, like, here we are. Like, it just keeps getting weirder and weirder every single week.
Well, and at first, my knee-jerk reaction to a guy that was on a preseason roster for an NFL team deciding that, he needed to go back to college, and I saw the press conference, and he gave some reasons, and none of them were good. I would like to be upset, but then Indiana had some guys that were like 25 and 26 years old on their roster last year.
Yeah, they had a couple guys that would not have been eligible within that 5-5 thing, but I think most of their guys that were like any bit of a difference maker were on like their 5th year of eligibility. They were older guys, so they would fit into the same age range as this what was this guy's name?
I should probably. Can you just Google old guy playing college football? No.
Daquan Wright? Is that it?
Yeah, that sounds correct. Well, and I think probably this wouldn't necessarily be an issue, number one, with NIL and the having to redefine amateurism, but also with the additional years that a lot of guys got for COVID, that we have had guys who are quite a bit older, you know, than we are used to having, not just college football, college basketball the same way. You have older guys playing, that becomes, if you want to go to court and you want to fight it, it's making the case for you a little bit, easier. So, on top of that, but and my thing with the whole thing, I know the conferences have decided that they're going to try to make some rules and they're going to try to take care of it inside of their conferences. I still think that you're going to see every season guys are taking conferences to court over it, because it is hard in a court of law to make the argument, oh no, college football is amateur and NFL is professional, when they look and operate basically the same.
Yeah. And two, the conferences making their own rules. I think it has been and can be overruled by a court, because they would say that like the NCAA is the overall governing body and they don't have a rule against it. So a conference can't just go in and make their own rule. It's just gotten so weird and out of hand. I'm reading here. On August 19th, 33 athletes, including then Browns and former Ole Miss tight end Daquan Wright, were granted a temporary restraining order by a Louisiana state court. Interesting. What team did he end up on?
It's always that
Lane
way.
Kiffin's LSU Tigers to return to college for one more season. The following day, Wright was one of more than a dozen former FBS players, including athletes who had signed contracts with NFL teams, who entered their names into the NCAA transfer portal. So, yeah, it's just like, of course, Lane Kiffin's at the center of this, like that, just like, of course that's happening. It's just such a weird thing. Like, this is something that you never thought you'd have to deal with. So they didn't need to have a rule about it.
Yeah, and like we've seen it with the Brendan Sorsby deal. You just have to find a judge who's a fan, who's willing to like put his neck out. And that's what is going to happen over and over. Like, it happened with the Oklahoma thing with the tight end. It was like, well, we're going to try this in Cleveland County, where the University of Oklahoma is, so that this kid can play football. And I mean, if the legal system's going to let you do it, okay, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do if you're a school or a conference. It's like, well, the judge is granting this thing, and this kid's going to get to play, and we'll hope that we solve it. But by the time we solve it, the kid's already done playing college football. And so we're just putting a thing in there to try to buy us time to fix it. By that time, the kid's in the NFL.
Yeah, in the event that another single player out of the thousands that play NCAA level college football might try this again.
Yeah, and I disagree with some of the guys. I think it was Dan Orlovsky who was like, "Oh, they've got to. Oh, this is going to ruin college football." It's not. It's not.
Yeah, it was one guy.
Yeah, you might have one or two a year, and they're probably not. If they were good in the NFL, they'd be in the NFL. So they're probably guys who are going to be stuck on a practice squad or going to the UFL or something like that. They're not guys that were going to be on a college football D1 roster making impacts on Saturdays. They just weren't. The guys that are good enough to go to the NFL are going to continue to go to the NFL, because that's where the big money's at. So I don't think it's probably a problem that matters. All right, let's get into this week's games. North Carolina versus TCU. The Arlingus College Football Classic in London or Dublin. Boy, they're going to be playing that game late over there. I think, was it 12-hour difference?
No, I don't think in Dublin it is. I think it's like maybe 7.
8. Okay, so late game for them.
Here you go.
I think TCU's played in this game one other time.
What time is it in Dublin, Ireland? They're 6 hours ahead. It's currently 2:27 there. So it'll be like late, like early evening.
Good kickoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, good kickoff. Is this TCU's second year to play in this, by the way? Didn't they play Kansas State or somebody last year, the year before? It may be another purple team. Kansas State, I think, may have been one of them, and so I'm getting the
K-State
purples
was
mixed up.
there because some weird stuff happened with
Yeah.
the quarterback's family.
Yeah. So North Carolina, obviously last year we had a much different discussion nationally about UNC coming into the 2025 season because, in case you live under a rock, they have the greatest NFL coach in the history of the game, who now coaches there. That was before we met his girlfriend, and again, shout out to Coach, young girlfriend. Shout out to Coach, living the American dream over there in Chapel Hill. We had a much different conversation with North Carolina. I still think there's going to be a lot of national attention on that program. I just think it's going to suck that this year it's for a completely different reason than it was last year. First game last year, they had Michael Jordan, Roy Williams, and who else? There was like a tree of UNC guys up in the box, and there were celebrities everywhere for the first game. I don't think that's probably happening again. Lawrence Taylor, I think LT was at the first game. I don't think that's probably going to be happening. And then TCU, although the Big 12 is a wide open conference, I don't think TCU is in the top echelon of the Big 12. So
yeah, I feel like this is going to be a down year for the Horned Frogs. I think.
Shout out Sonny
Josh
Dykes.
Hoover.
We do like Sonny Dykes.
Yeah,
Shout out Sonny Dykes.
Sonny Dykes always has his team ready to go. They always are competitive. I just don't think they're going to be the same type of competitive that they have been over the last several seasons. This year, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how Jaden Craig does at quarterback. They've got, since Josh Hoover left and went to Indiana, of all places. I'll be intrigued to see how Jaden Craig does. The transfer kid. Where did he play at before he transferred?
Oh, I just had this up. Yesterday when I was looking at some stuff. He came from, let's go to ESPN.
Harvard.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say it was some Ivy League. So listen, they got a smart kid at quarterback.
Supposedly. Either that or his dad went there. One of the
two. And by the way, while we're on this topic of Josh Hoover, and we're not going to pick on Indiana week 0. Wait till week 1. I will have some thoughts. I don't want to ever hear another football coach talk bad about another football coach either direction. But this weird, Josh Hoover, Sonny Dykes saying something negative about Josh Hoover, so then Cignetti feels like he's got to stick up for his quarterback. Like, coaches, there is such a thing as a kid's no longer a good fit at one school. He might be a great fit at another. We don't have to talk bad about a kid who's trying to fulfill his college football dream.
Yeah, which is also crazy after he broke every single record that was previously held by Trayvon Boyd. What do you mean?
Shout out. And I feel bad because Trayvon Boyd last year when we talked to him when we were down in LSU, he's like, I may not have a record left.
Yeah,
this kid's great.
Yeah, I remember him talking about, he's like, yeah, this Josh Hoover kid's going to break all of my records. I'm like, wow, those are some pretty solid records that Mr. Boykin set when he was down there. So,
shout out to Google Gemini that I used to do a lot of stats. Expect a heavy dose of ground game and clock management early while both teams adjust to doubling time. I don't think that's about it.
Hell of a take from old Google Gemini. They should get themselves a job on college football radio.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be week 0. I would not expect the first half to be very eventful. You're buckling up the chin strap and putting on the pads in real life game for the very first time. So there may be some butterflies. San Jose State at USC. Now, am I correct that San Jose State is the game is they played Texas last year in their non-conference?
They did indeed, and
We don't have to. We don't have to. We don't have to start week. We can do week 1. We can start on the Texas State.
yeah, Arch didn't look that good in that game. I will say that.
So they run over a defensive back, stood over, and we were like, "All right, calm down, buddy.
No, that was I think that was
Relax."
the Idaho game. I think, or no, that was San Jose State schedule. I'm not sure. Actually, I don't think it was San Jose State that he did that against. I think it was it Sam Houston?
Another that was taking a big paycheck to go play a big team. By the
Yeah,
way,
I think it was
shout
Sam
out to the
Houston.
schools that do it.
Yeah, it was Sam Houston because Arch threw for 309 in that game. Yeah.
I will say USC's returning 15 starters, including Jaden Mayava, which in this era of college football is not something that happens all the time. So obviously, USC is getting some love in the AP Top 25 and the Coaches Bowl. They probably should. I mean, you're returning 15 starters plus your quarterback, and Lincoln Riley, the best quarterback coach in the country, who happens to also be a head football coach. He'll probably put up some crazy stats this season. But if you're a USC fan, the thing you're looking for that you've been waiting and hoping and searching for, and not just the Trojan fan base, but the Oklahoma fan base, they waited and hoped and prayed and pleaded for every season, is a competent defense. Not that San Jose State is probably going to be able to do a whole lot to test the defense, but it would be nice if you can come out there and show people that you're flying around to the ball, you're hitting hard, you got a little grit to you. You've done away with the bend don't break mentality that USC has had with previous coordinators. USC minus 20.5. They might win by 40.
I'm seeing that they are 38.5-point favorites.
Okay, so it's moved from when I looked at it last.
Yeah. Like 40-point favorites, which doesn't shock me at all. You know, like this is a school that consistently has very talented wide receivers. You know, which by the way, I think Mekhi Lemon is like averaging like 1 yard a game in the preseason. So that's tough. That's tough out for the USC guy there. But yeah, they're bringing back Jaden Mayava, who, you know, we've talked about this in past weeks on the show, could be in the conversation for the best quarterback in the country this season in a loaded quarterback, like room class. I don't know what you want to even call it. You know, USC's got a pair of great running backs. Keep your eye out for King Miller. Like this kid is something special, you know, and then, USC is actually ranked 28th nationally in their defensive SP plus ratings, which is like this weird thing that ESPN always puts together where they take like all kinds of stuff and all these numbers to, I don't remember how they do it, but it's a SP plus is a tempo and opponent adjusted measure of college football efficiency. It's a predictive measure of the most sustainable and predictable aspects of football, not a resume ranking. And along those same lines, these projections aren't intended to be a guess at what the AP Top 25 will look like at the end of the year. These are simply early offseason power rankings based on information we have been able to gather to date. So, yeah, just looking at it overall, you know, USC has the number 6 SP plus offense in the country. And the number 28 SP plus defense in the country with the number 11 strength of schedule. So we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We don't think that this is going to be the same Lincoln Riley USC that has been there. That's like, we got to score 57 points every game just to hope that we can maybe win. I think this is a team that's probably going to be able to win games where they only score 35 points this year, which would be a massive change of pace for any Lincoln Riley led college football team, as you could speak to like very specifically. being able to only have to score 35 points is a huge plus for this USC offense that, they won't have to have so much pressure on their back to play perfect football, which I think will let them go out and play looser and be even more dangerous on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, this would be probably, if they're able to really have a hard-nosed defense, Lincoln's probably had I he's probably had at least 3 or 4 teams since he's been a head football coach that probably had everything you needed to win a national championship, except for a defense that could just slow people down,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I
by
think
a
all
lot.
of the last 20 national champions have all had like a top 15 defense.
Yeah, you don't even need to have a top 5 defense in college football to win. You just have to have one that can hold people to less than, like, 4 scores, and the offenses have been so good that that's great, but when you're asking somebody, "Oh, you gotta go out and score 40 every game," that's been the problem. So I'm interested to see. Yeah, they've got a lot of powerful, stuff at wide receiver. They've got a great young quarterback. That's what you'll be watching today to see against San Jose State. Shout out to San Jose State. Keep taking that paycheck and playing big teams. Like, it ain't hurting your regular season.
And it's genuine exposure now too for, one or two players pops off on film, they're going to be getting calls from some of these bigger programs that are
100%.
signing the checks, that are sending the checks to these teams to go play. So,
Yeah. Yep, guys are getting looks that they probably wouldn't get any other way. Okay, North Carolina State at Virginia. Early ACC conference action, which could be fun. This one, according to, I don't know if you got the line on it, but it looked like this is supposed to be a lot closer game. This may be the game that is really tight today, and a lot of fun to watch.
yeah, I'm seeing Virginia -4 with a 51.5 point total. So I think this will be a fun game. I think it's always crazy to start your season with these kinds of games. Last year, Ohio State and Texas opened up against each other at Ohio State, and it was like it was the first like 2 rounds of a boxing match where they're just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to make a move because I don't want to leave myself open just to get just absolutely slammed in the first, 10 minutes of this fight. So sometimes you kind of run into those situations where, and I think North Carolina TCU might look the same way. It's because that's not a conference game. That's a intra conference game. But those are two bigger teams that are probably going to be bowl eligible possibly at the end of the season. But yeah, these conference games, you get these teams that are just like, I don't want to make a mistake. We're just going to run, pass, punt. Hopefully we get a first down here and there. Let's play the field position game. Let's own the clock, find a way to maybe get into the end zone. I could see that be how this game goes.
Yeah, 100%. And, the ACC is about to get really interesting the next 2 or 3 seasons. Obviously, which I'm not here for the Clemson hate, but, Clemson ran that conference for a long time. But now, Miami's back. I think a lot of people are expecting Virginia Tech to be really competitive within the first couple of seasons. And, they're that conference could get fun to watch. And so, if you're an ACC team, the good thing that I think sometimes happens when you have a conference where a couple of teams get good really, really quick is the entire conference gets to have a little bit of a benefit of that. Maybe you're not good enough, maybe you're from that area, maybe you weren't looking at ACC schools, maybe you're not good enough to play at Miami or whatever, but you're from Florida and parents would still like to see you play there at some point in your home state. So you're going to go to an ACC school, and that could be really fun. Yeah, I'm not expecting a huge bunch out of it. I will say this: Virginia, underrated color scheme and uniforms.
Oh, yeah, massive. I mean, dude, that
I'm
field
saying
rush
that.
last year, do you remember that?
Yeah, it was wild.
That was just one of the most insane things I feel like I saw from the 2026 or 2025 season. And it happened at freaking Virginia.
And listen, as a guy who's a Bears fan and he's a Broncos fan, we feel that navy and orange is an underrated color scheme and should be used more often.
Yeah, it's probably the best color scheme, you know, that exists.
New Mexico State at Florida State. In my opinion, the clock starts right now if Mike Norvell will be coaching next year. Like, if Mike Norvell is going to be at Florida State, today is the day the clock starts. They have to have a 10-win season. I don't know how he keeps his job if they don't have more than at least a 10-win season in that conference.
Yeah, you know, I think he was like one of our top ranked hot seat coaches when we did our conversation about like hot seat going into this season. You know, last year they start off with that massive win against Alabama, and you're like, well, okay, Florida State's back. This is awesome. And then they finished 6-6. What was their final record from the end of the season last year? Like, it was just like, what happened? It's almost like they fell off a cliff at some point, you know,
Well,
4 weeks into the season.
Well, and 2 years is it 2 years ago? Depending on how you look at it, a couple of seasons ago, they had a 12-win season.
Yeah.
And then they followed it up with, I think they won 3 games.
Yeah.
And then last year you hover right around 50%. And I still think he's a good football coach. They finished 13th in the ACC last year. That's not good. Let's see. They were 80th. They finished 5-7, 83rd of 136 teams at a very proud school,
a historic football school. Yeah,
yeah, and when NIL and rev share came around, that's one of the schools that you look at and go, they're going to be able to be good for a long time because they got some donors, they got fan base, they got NFL guys who are going to want to invest in that foot program. And they're going to be able to put some packages together to really get a great roster. And the first year you thought, this is it. They won 12 games. They were the hottest team in college football halfway through the season. And they had a great season. And then the next year, everything was just abysmal. Then, like you said, they start off last year beating Alabama, and you thought, okay, he's got it right. Had a weird year. It's nothing crazy. I want to say, did they get blown out in Dublin a couple of years ago? I think that was it. That was like, we were like, is this the curse of starting your season overseas that you're just like going to have this horrible bug that carries with you?
They opened up against Georgia Tech. They lost 24-21. They lost their first 3 games in 2024.
And to be fair, Georgia Tech the last couple seasons has actually been decent, but at the time that looked like, oh my gosh, you just lost to a team that hasn't been good at football in a long, long time. But Georgia Tech has actually been pretty competitive.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming off of a college football playoff berth. You know, you were ACC champion the year before. You know, like, and then you go in, you know, you start off the next season, and it's like, what is happening? Like, did that loss to Georgia where you lost? What was that final score? Like 63-0?
Well, horrible.
Oh, that was the year that Jordan. What was that quarterback's name? Where he got hurt, right?
Yes.
Was it? I can't remember. That's so far. That's so long ago. But yeah, they went in and they got absolutely smoked in the college football playoffs, 63-3.
Yeah.
So,
but you made it.
Yeah, you went 12-0, 13-0, winning an ACC championship game, and then the wheels fell off for 2 straight years. And so now, and this is why I think, this is why Mike Norvell is on that chopping block, is on the hot seat this season, is because they've seen him get there. They've seen it done with, with the modern era of college football. They've seen them get there in the NIL era, in the transfer portal era. They've seen it happen. And then he goes and follows up a college football playoff berth with a, well, I guess, no, that was the year they followed that up with a 2-10 season.
Yep.
And then last year they finished 5-7. So, you go from making the college football playoff to finishing under 500 2 years straight. You got to fix it as soon as possible, because you can't just give your fan base, your donors, all of the people who are making the decisions at the college a taste of that kind of success, and then all of a sudden, like, what happened? Like, where did this go? Even TCU has been able to stay above 500 since they made their college football playoff run. So,
yeah. And he's not the only coach that's done it. I mean, but you can't stack 3 bad seasons together.
No, and they have a relatively favorable schedule this year. I mean, it's kind of tough, the middle of the season. They go next week, they host SMU. That's SMU is a top 25 team. We're pretty high on SMU on this show. I'm fairly certain Aaron is as high on them as I am. Then they go to Alabama on the 19th. And then they host the Central Arkansas Sugar Bears. Speaking of mascots, by the way. And then they host Virginia, which could be, who knows what's going to happen in that football game. We'll find out more after today. We'll see how these two teams look. And then after that Virginia game, the middle of October, they go at Louisville, at Miami, home versus Clemson on Halloween. So, like, it's a favorable-ish schedule, but of those, like, from between September to the start, or between your September and October games, you need to win somehow. You need to win 4 of those 7 games, and 2 of them are against unranked opponents. 3 of them are against unranked opponents. One of them being the University of Central Arkansas. So there's a way to do it. It's going to be an uphill battle for Florida State to do it, but I think they can get there.
Yeah, they can't do what they've done the last 2 years and lose games they're not supposed to lose. You're gonna have to win every game you're supposed to win, and you're gonna need to probably upset a game or 2 or be respectable, keep it close. And the way the ACC is structured, last year we did not see the 2 best ACC teams play for the ACC championship.
What a weird rule.
It's just odd, and then you're only going to get, especially with the way the Big Ten and the SEC are this year, you're not going to probably get that many college football playoff bids. So you're going to need to either be in your conference championship game or that third team like Miami was that you're like they're very good. They just ACC's conference championship setup is screwy, and so that's but.
If Florida State's going to lose games, they can only lose, if they want to get into the college football playoff, they can only lose 2 games, and those 2 games have to be Alabama and Miami.
Yes. Yep.
They can't be anybody else in any other combination. It has to be, if you're going to lose 2 games, it's got to be Alabama, it's got to be Miami.
Yep. All right, a little bit of fun here. We're going to go to the big board and do our top 5 college football mascots that need more love. Now, this is a very distinct subject here. I love college football mascots, but I'm not on my list. I do not have anybody that is like, I don't even have a Division I team. Take that back. I have 1 Division I team on here and 1 FCS team. Everyone else is outside of Division I football. So these are mascots, top 5 mascots that we think need a little more love. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, I honestly have no thoughts created in my head yet on these types of things. I've got one in my brain, but I need you to go first.
Well, the good thing is you play Division II football where some of the best ones are, so you probably have a few in your head that you're like, all right, this one could go. Now this is my number 5 is not typically thought of as a I don't even know if they have a football program, but they're making my list either way because I've been waiting for this type of subject to come along in my life. I'm going with the Blob at Xavier. I don't even think they have a football program, and I don't care. That's why I'm putting them at number 5. It is a basketball mascot. It's blue and fuzzy, and it was created because the official D'Artagnan Musketeer mascot was scaring little kids, so they represented it with something even weirder, which is just a blue fuzzy blob.
I don't even know what to say.
Like, how scary was this original Musketeer mascot that kids were like, it's just too much. Can't. It's too much.
That's like a rite of passage. If you're going to be a college sports fan, like you have to be terrified of the mascot. Like that's a rite of passage.
If you go back and look at like the 70s and 80s, like even mascots today that we think are cool, like what they looked like in the 70s and 80s, it is terrifying.
Brutus was freaky.
Like I don't know, like I don't know if they had like students making these mascot get ups or whatever, but they were terrifying looking, and some of them were racist, so they didn't make it out of the 80s. All right, what you got?
I know who I'm going to have at number 1. It's actually from my home state. I think they play today, I think. And it's not like a weird mascot, but it's like an unusual one for any level of sports. The Pittsburgh State Gorillas and Gus the Gorilla. Like, that's weird. Like a gorilla is your mascot. Like, you got tigers, Broncos, lions, Cardinals, Knights. You got all kinds of stuff that you could have gone with, but you went with a gorilla. Like, as a shout out Harambe, RIP, the GOAT. But yeah, Gus the Gorilla. And, this actually gives us a chance to talk about a little bit about Division II football. Pitt State is opening up this year at number 4, I think. And they are opening up today against the number 1 team in the country, Ferris State, who just won the D2 national championship last season.
Yep.
So right off the bat in Division II football this year, we've got a number 4 versus number 1 matchup taking place. And I think that's awesome. Like, that's great for the game.
I love looking at University of Central Oklahoma. It's right up the street from where I live, and I look at their schedule, and every time I see Pitt State on there, I'm like, I've never went and watched them play, but if they don't play like a bunch of caged gorillas, like just knocking the living piss out of people, I'd be very disappointed. Like, if you have the mascot of gorilla, I need you to be trying to rip guys' arms off. I feel like that's I don't think you can't run like a Texas Tech high-powered offense there. You can, but your defense better be swaggy if you're going to be the Gorillas.
Yeah, so this game actually happened on Thursday. I was off on my games. Why was this game not on my TV? Pitt State lost 42-14. So, to answer your question,
I don't play like that.
No.
Okay.
But also Fair State is just, they're special.
All right, number 4
shout
for
out,
me.
Gus Gorilla.
Keegi the Keg at Dartmouth College, which is an Ivy League school. it was created by the Campus Humor magazine in 2003 to represent students. It's been banned by the administration, but it sneaks back onto the field every year. It is an actual beer keg with arms and legs. The administration has tried everything they can to get rid of this mascot, but the students are keeping it alive. Kigi the Keg at Dartmouth College, which for an Ivy League school to have even an unofficial mascot that is a keg, shout out to the engineers and all the mathematicians and smart people at Dartmouth College who apparently also party. Didn't know.
It makes sense. I mean, we talked about it a little bit when we talked about the Harvard transfer at quarterback. Some of these guys are there because they're able to just get in without having to try, you know?
Yeah.
So some of these schools like to party. And I think having an actual beer keg as a mascot is just the best possible thing for an Ivy League school.
I think it makes it better that the administration probably puts out something every year that's like, guys, no more Kigi the Keg. Because college students love being told not to do something. Like what's his name? The SEC commissioner telling fans that can't storm the field of the Big 12, telling Texas Tech they can't throw tortillas. It's like, yeah, you know what? 18 to 22-year-old college students love being told not to do something because now they're just going to do it worse.
100%.
So, all right, what you got?
Next up for me, the Delta State. They're technically called the Statesmen, but they actually prefer the Fighting Okra. And their mascot, this Fighting Okra mascot, as here, this is how Google describes it: an angry anthropomorphic green okra pod wearing boxing gloves. Kind of looks like a Digimon. I forget the name of the Digimon, but yeah. I mean, I'm from the South. I'm from Arkansas. Fried okra, one of my favorite
Delicious.
like Southern delicacies. We got a restaurant. We've got like a local chain here in Kansas City that has really good fried okra, and it's like every time I order it, my wife's family, who are from Kansas City, like they always just look at me like, "You ordered what?" I'm like, "Fried okra, it's delicious." So yeah, shout out to the Delta State Fighting Okra.
Yeah, I had that one on my list. I love that one. And I don't know if they don't make enough merch with it on it. Like I was trying to find, don't make enough T-shirts with it on it. Guys, Delta State, you got to lean into it.
We know a guy. We're going to have a conversation offline here, actually, is what's about to happen.
We need to have as much of it as we could possibly get. All right, my number 3, Sammy the Banana Slug at UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah, what the heck?
I don't even know what a banana slug is, but I love it. I want a T-shirt with it on it. Like, let's see here. Voted by students to avoid aggressive sports cliches. It became so popular that Vince Travolta wore a UCSC banana slug T-shirt in Pulp Fiction. If your school was in Pulp Fiction, you are pop culture royalty forever.
Yeah. Like truly.
Banana. What is a banana? I gotta Google. What is
a
banana slug gonna look like?
It looks exactly how you think it looks.
A yellow slug. Oh, it looks like a banana. Well, that's weird.
Okay. Like it looks exactly how you think it looks. That's just like, you know, for a mascot, it's like this thing can get stepped on by a 3-year-old and die.
Listen,
like that's not what you want. But then again, I just picked the Fighting Okra to be my.
It's true.
So
D2 and D3 schools remind me of my baseball teams. Like they're like, we don't take ourselves too serious. Like we know where our bread's buttered. We get it.
Yep.
Like we're gonna go out and have fun. But yeah, I love that one. All right, go ahead.
This one's actually I've actually seen this one in person. We played against this school 3 times, I think, while I was at William Jewell. and it's a very good football program. Colorado School of Mines out there in, I think they're in Pueblo.
Yep.
No, that sounds right, actually. They have a live donkey. I guess it's a burro, is what you would call it,
Yeah,
which
they
is
don't
like
want to call it a donkey.
somewhere between a mule and a donkey, maybe. I don't know, but it's called Blaster the Burro, and they've also got like the human mascot that goes with the burro called Marvin the Miner. Um, so yeah, I mean, we talk all the time about like CU with their running of the buffalo, and you've got a Bevo down at Texas. You know, some of these live animal mascots are awesome. This one is a mule, dude. Like that's just it's hilarious, you know. But you think, I mean, you think about it, you know, you're in the mountains. It makes sense, you know, like they use like mules and donkeys have been used for ages to go up and down mountains and down into the canyons. Like at the Great Canyon, like you ride a mule if you want to like go into the canyon itself. So it's like, you know, they are tough animals. They just kind of sound and look funny.
Well, and it wouldn't have been when when it started, it wouldn't have been weird. It would have been like having a horse as your mascot. Like it wouldn't be weird. But like as time has gone on and we don't use donkeys every day, then it becomes like this weird oddity of a thing. But at the time it would have been like, of course, they're hardworking animals. We're gonna make them our mascot for sure.
Say a donkey and a burro are the exact same thing. So it is a donkey. Shout out to
Which,
Colorado School of Mines. A mule is a hybrid offspring of a donkey and a horse. So
okay.
yeah, the Blaster the Burro is a donkey.
My number 2, I'm taking Scrappy the Mockingbird at Chattanooga. I mean, you took a mockingbird and you gave it a name like Scrappy. I mean, come on. I love it. Shout out University of Chattanooga, a beautiful school. Chattanooga, Tennessee, beautiful area. Yeah, fierce. That's what Google says. Fierce, muscled mockingbird dressed like a tradesman. Underrated design, incredible sideline energy, and represents deep local lore. Everything you need in a FCS mascot, for sure.
Truly. I feel like game day opponents are probably reading How to Kill a Mockingbird going into that game. Even though they actually don't teach
That's
you
the only time you've ever heard it.
Yeah, that's funny. I've actually never heard of that one.
Last night I looked at it, I was like, well, that's one. I've never even
that
heard of
can't be real. Yeah.
That's what I thought. All right, who's your number 1?
I haven't done my number 2 yet.
Oh yeah, you're your number 2.
My number 2, I'm actually going to go back up all the way up to Division 1. And I'm going to go with Big Red and the Arkansas Razorbacks. I got to give my hometown Hogs some love. I think first off, having a breed of pig be your mascot is
Cool enough.
So unique. And the fact that it is the size of a hog that they have, I mean, obviously, so they've got a live hog. They've got Tusk. I think they're on like Tusk 4, Tusk 5 at this point. They go around the stadium in a trailer with the cheerleader and some of the band on top of this trailer. And there's literally Tusk is in this trailer and they are running him around the stadium, stopping at every like 30 yards, calling the Hogs, playing the fight song. And then they've also got their like in-game mascot, Big Red, who is, I think, one of the most exciting mascots in the entire country. Big Red has always been awesome. You know, shows up at the basketball game, shows up at the baseball game, shows up at, you know, at the softball games. I'm fairly certain Big Red probably makes appearances at the gymnastics meets because the University of Arkansas has such a great gymnastics program. So I just had to give a shout out to my hometown Hogs because like it's a freaking Razorback, dude. These things, if you've ever come into contact with a Razorback in the wild,
not fun.
See you in the next life. Like they will eat you. Like, I don't know how else to say it.
All right, for my number one, I'm going all the way down to Division III. UNC School of Arts, the Fighting Pickle.
The Fighting Pickle?
A smiling, tuxedo-clad green pickle holding a paintbrush and musical note. What better mascot for a School of Arts than the Fighting Pickle?
That's like something that only a School of Arts would choose.
100%. Only a School of Arts would choose. So yeah, I'm going Division III.
My number one is coming from a Division II school, all the way down in Monticello, Arkansas. The University of Arkansas at Monticello Boll Weevils.
All time.
You know, the only time anybody's ever heard of a boll weevil is when you're learning in your American history class about what started the dust. What do they call it? The Dust Bowl?
Yep.
That was because of boll weevils eating the crops in Oklahoma.
100%.
So shout out to the boll weevils. It's like the most random. I mean, we've already talked about like these D2, D3 schools. We got gorillas, we got boll weevils, we've got banana slugs. But yeah, shout out to the UA Monticello Boll Weevils.
But you know, if you're Division II, Division III, you got to do something to set yourself apart, and that's what these are. That's what these mascots are meant to do. Give you something that's different than everybody else. I'm sure student sections have a ton of fun with it, as I would hope they do.
Yeah. So the name of the name of the University of Arkansas Monticello Boll Weevils mascot is Wheezy. Wheezy F baby. Lil Wayne.
Gotta love it. I love it. All right. Buy or sell AP top 10. So the AP poll came out and everyone lost their collective minds because that's what we do. Also realizing that I think when I put this prep together, I don't have the AP top 25 right. So good news is I've got it pulled up right here. We're going to go 10-1 and buy or sell on the AP top 25 with our thoughts on how these schools are.
So if we sell, are we saying that they're not making the college football playoff?
Yeah, selling them just means we don't think they're making the college football playoff, or maybe we're selling it because the hype is just too high. Before we get to number 10, I will really quick run through the 5 out of the top 10. Michigan, USC, and BYU are tied at 14. Alabama at 13. Texas Tech at 12. LSU at 11. Why is that funny? You'll find out here in 2 picks why LSU at 11 tickles me. It just makes me laugh deep inside. Number 10, AP Top 25, Oklahoma. Now, coming into the season, closing out last season, I do want to get a little upset with fans that coming out of last season. I just want to remind everyone, Oklahoma made a college football playoff.
And they looked really good in the first half.
Like, they made a college football playoff with a guy whose injury we have been told now he's finally been honest about it. I think we talked about it that, hey, this hand thing is way worse than he's wanting to admit that it is. And he just gutted out the rest of the season with this hand thing. But they made a college football playoff with a quarterback not healthy and an offense that just couldn't figure out how to run the ball at all, which if you have a quarterback with a hurt hand, the worst thing you could also then have is, oh, by the way, that's the best guy we have when it comes to running game as well. So the fact they had all that stacked against them and made a college football playoff, Oklahoma fans, calm down. But they are ranked at number 10. And I don't know whether I feel good or bad about it. They have been the hottest team when it comes to the national media starting to create buzz since SEC media days has been Oklahoma. Nationally, they are getting more and more people excited about what they're doing. I think the Matir Satania connection is going to be electric. That kid might be the fastest wide receiver in the country.
He's like lightning.
I mean, they get him on that like seam route and he's gone. So that's going to be good. I think they're going to be better at running back than they were last year. I think they've got they replaced and moved some pieces around at offensive line, so I think that's going to be really, really good. And they're probably going to have another smack you in the mouth top 3 defense in the country again. We'll find out. Obviously, they play Michigan really early in the season, so the good news is we get to find out just how good they really are really, really quickly. They don't have the hardest schedule in the country, but again, they have like a top 5 schedule in the country, which they've had every year since they joined the SEC. Shout out to the SEC for finally giving Texas a hard schedule. Thank you. They might shock some people. And I feel good at 10 with them. I think if you're wanting to buy a team low that really might shock some people by week 7, I think it's Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm in on Oklahoma this season. You know, looking at their schedule, got they've got some pretty tough outs here. I mean, I don't know that Michigan is going to be quite ready to go by week 2. You know, I think now that Michigan is under, you know, new leadership, new head coach, and are trying to get away from the stink of that previous regime at Michigan, I think will serve them well. But I'm not entirely sure if they will be there by week 2. But you know, that one is in Ann Arbor. So when Oklahoma has to go into Ann Arbor and play, you know, in front of, you know, 106,000 people or however many, which doesn't make it any louder, which is the most bizarre thing ever. I think it's going to be a good football game, you know, and I think, well, you know, you're exactly right. Like we will find out just how good they are. And then, you know, the week after that, they've got a little bit of an off week against New Mexico and the Lobos. But right after that, they go at Georgia. Then they have a bye week, and then they're playing the Texas Longhorns in the Red River Shootout. So, you know, back-to-back games against top 5 opponents is tough. I don't know if Texas will be a top 5 opponent by the time we get there, because we'll talk a little bit about that coming up here in a couple minutes, but I don't think that week 2 is going to go the way people think it's going to go. You know, and then they've got a little bit of a place to catch their breath after that Texas game. And then they finish the season with Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Mizzou. So I think Oklahoma is going to be a lot better than a lot of people are talking about this season. And I think that we may have been early on our John Mateer Heisman hype, you know, last season. It was fun to watch this kid in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season last year.
Yeah.
But that injury really slowed things down. But I think with him coming off that injury, the work that he's obviously put in on to his body this offseason, he looks like a completely different person. So I'm excited to see what that offense looks like this year. And then obviously, like anytime Brent Venables is calling a defense, like the defense is going to be fantastic. So yeah, I think I'm buying Oklahoma going into this season.
All right. Number 9, Ole Miss. Yes, they are 2 spots ahead of LSU Tigers. That just makes me warm and fuzzy in the middle of my chest, because you know that annoys him to no end.
Dude, it has to.
But you know, they have good reason. They have, going into the season, the better quarterback. That is the difference. That is the stark difference right now between Ole Miss and LSU. Is you have Trinidad Chambliss, and he is a really, really, really good quarterback. And I think if what I love about college football is a lot of times the teams take on the personality of their head coach, and their head coach is kind of a no nonsense guy. Pete Golding is no nonsense. We're going to play football. I'm not paying attention to the outside noise type guy, which will be a stark difference from the guy that just left, who only paid attention to the outside noise.
Yeah. Get off Twitter, Lane. We talked about this.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I don't know if I'm buying them to get into the college football playoff, because I think the SEC is going to do a lot of beating up on itself, before they ever get there. Um, but they've got a chance to be really, really good because they have the X factor of maybe a guy that week 6 you're going, is he the best quarterback in the entire conference? And he might
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. I mean, they might have, they very much will have an argument for the best backfield in college football with Kevin Lacey, at
Yep.
running back as well. He's awesome. Um, yeah, I am excited to see what Ole Miss does. Like, this is going to be the first year. I mean, obviously Pete Golding coached them through the end of the season last year through the college football playoff, but that wasn't necessarily like his program yet. This
Yep.
year it is his program. And is Pete Golding going to be able to live up to kind of the fill the shoes really that Lane Kiffin had left there? Because Lane Kiffin had that program in a great spot. As much as we like to make jokes and and poke fun at Lane Kiffin, he had the Ole Miss Rebels in a great spot, and then just left them high and dry, which I still cannot believe that happened the way that it happened. But after hearing some of the conversation that we've had with our buddy Justin Riley over at the Bama Standard, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out that conversation, you need to go check that one out. There's a really funny story about Lane Kiffin in there.
Why are people so shocked by that story, by the way?
It's LSU fans that are like, that's
I
not
do
real.
not understand. Like, in the comments, they're like, I want to see receipts. It's like, do you think a college football program is going to admit that either positively or negatively?
We've had two very close people to the SEC programs that we were talking about in that show confirm this story. So I think,
yeah, if you go watch this video, I can tell you because I talked to the man who was the source for this story, and my exact words is, most of that story is true. And I said, are the important parts true? And he said yes.
So there you go. Lane Kiffin's gonna Lane Kiffin, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where Pete Golding has this program this year. I feel like they might have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder too going into the season because like they're like, well, he left us to go somewhere else in the same conference. Like we have to go out and we have the ball.
And you're gonna get shot at him early.
Yeah, well, was that week 3? Like they play super early in the season this year too. So like, yeah, I think Ole Miss will be ready, but like to your point, it will be tough to see if they get into the college football playoffs. So if like that's what our buy or sell is on at this point, I think I'm gonna have to sell Ole Miss going into this season.
Yeah, no, if you're watching this or we put this clip out on YouTube, I love Ole Miss. I just don't. The SEC is, especially out in that 9th conference game, they are just beating on each other for, it's going to come in a war of attrition for whoever plays in that championship game, and I just don't know. Like I just don't know. So that's the only thing that concerns me. I don't know how to turn off my text notifications, so if they come through, I have no clue how to stop them.
You saw the whole first 3 minutes of the show today. We ain't professionals around here. What are we talking about?
Yeah, give us a second. Okay. All right. It's enough, guys. Someone stop. I don't know who's doing it. All right. Texas A&M at number 8. 2 words. Marcel Reed. I don't know if there was a college football show on the internet higher on Marcel Reed by week 10 than this one. I love everything about that kid. And it felt like he came out of nowhere last season. Texas A&M has a very expensive roster, as they have had for the last 4 seasons. I am very high on Texas A&M, and I think Texas A&M and Oklahoma are going to surprise a whole bunch of people this season. I'm no longer going to call them the Kings of Spring. I think Texas is going to lose 2 games this year, and I think one of them is this one. And I'm buying Texas A&M to make the college football playoff.
I think that's a safe bet. I think were we the first ones on the Marcel Reed train?
It felt like it
in college football last season. I don't know if we were or not, but he's just so fun. Like he's just an electric quarterback. Yep. And I think we made a lot of jokes about the performance of the players in that Miami Texas A&M first round college football playoff game, and I ate my words really badly the week after that. So I will be the first to admit it. I made it, I made a post on the old Tiki Talkie about because if you remember right, the Texas A&M Miami college football playoff game was one of the sloppiest, worst football games I have ever seen in my life, let alone college football playoff games. But that wind was blowing like 40 miles an hour. Kickers were missing left and right. Quarterbacks couldn't throw a spiral to save their lives. And I sat down and I said, it doesn't matter who wins this game. Ohio State's going to beat whoever wins this game by 30. And then they go on and lose to Miami a week later. And it was just, I ate my words really bad. But yeah, Marcel Reed's performance in that game wasn't indicative of like his caliber of talent. Like Marcel Reed was in Heisman conversations for the majority of the season last season after we got through like Halloween. Like people really started talking about like, okay, Marcel Reed might need to have some serious conversations about this kid. And I think that he's going to be considered, as I mean, what are his Heisman odds right now? Is it plus 3,000 to win the Heisman? So I mean that you'll make a pretty penny. Put $1 down on that one. You could make $30. $10, you'll make 300. So give it a shot. It might be a safe bet. Might be one of your best bets there. But yeah, I think Texas A&M. I don't know if they get in though. That's the thing. I don't know. I think I might have to sell Texas A&M on the college football playoff.
No, so I mean, the SEC is going to have 3 or 4 really good teams that are probably not going to make it, and they may be one. All right, number 7, Miami. Good news is the ACC is really good at 3 seasons. Good news is it is not one of those 3 seasons. You're still going to have a ACC conference that is not where it wants to be right now, and Miami is well ahead of the curve of that conference. I think the difference between this Miami team this year and the Miami team last year is obviously quarterback's is a lot different. You don't have someone nearly as experienced as you had with Carson Beck, but also everybody's going to see them coming. Because last year I don't think a whole lot of people saw them coming. And they don't have a crazy hard schedule. Was looking at their schedule last night. I mean, they're obviously the game that everybody's going to be watching is going to be the Miami Notre Dame game this season, which depending on, we can talk about Notre Dame later, but depending on how that game goes, that may be the decider if Notre Dame makes it into the college football playoff, although they do have a very nice rule that is nice for them that no one else in college football gets. I'm not salty about it. I like Notre Dame, but that rule does annoy me just a little bit.
It is weird.
Yeah, so they're scheduled this season. They kick off at Stanford. I don't think Stanford's very good this year, so that's probably fine. Then they have got Wake Forest week 3. They've got Clemson week 4. Florida bye week going into Florida State, which is the scheduling god's giving Miami some love right there, giving them an off week between Clemson and Florida State.
Yeah, and if Florida State being at home is huge too.
Then they're going to, which is so weird. So they're playing Pitt back to back, then North Carolina, then they play Notre Dame, and then they've got Duke, Boston College, all before the ACC. I think the ACC loves when Miami's good. I think college football loves when Miami's good. I don't see them making the college football playoff.
Really?
I think as much as I didn't like Carson Beck and he was the Razor Ramon of college football last year and everyone loved hating him, I do think, and I said it last year, I think that Carson Beck covered up for a lot of problems you might have had on offense if you're Miami. I think that the guy that had played college football that long and was such a veteran, I think they, looking at their schedule, I think obviously the Notre Dame game pops off, but if Virginia Tech, they play Virginia Tech so late in the year. What if week 5 we're like, hey, Franklin's got it working at Virginia Tech. Like,
that's true.
This team is fun.
Yeah.
And you're going to play them late. You're going to have to play Duke late. I'm not saying Duke's great, but correct me if I'm wrong. They played in the ACC championship last year. They're not like a world beater, but they're going, if you go down through their schedule, now they get to play Wake Forest early, which helps. They do not play Georgia Tech this season.
That might be the ACC championship game.
So that helps them quite a bit. But, we don't know enough about Clemson, but I think they're going to be a solid football team. If Florida State comes out within the first couple of games and looks great, let's say they drop Florida State, let's say they drop Notre Dame, and then they go in November 21st to play Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech is a, respectable football team, and you're playing them late. Now they've had time to gel together with a brand new coach and new culture with a base that is going to be already excited because they feel like they finally got their guy. Their entire college football playoff hopes may hang on that Virginia Tech game. And that could be it.
Yeah, I think I see it completely differently than you with Miami. I think I see a team that was in the national championship last year and lost 2 pass rushers and a quarterback, but they replaced their quarterback with another talented, experienced player. Darren Mensah played at Tulane, and then he was at Duke last year. So he's played at programs, that do a decent job with quarterback play.
Hold on. Duke and Georgia are not the same, brother. I love you.
Oh no, I understand that. Darren Mensah is a very talented football player, but at the same time, the reason I say this is because you're bringing back Mark Fletcher, maybe the best running back in the country. You bring it back Malachi Toney, one of the most electric wide receivers in the country. I think he has, as a true freshman last year, going into this season, is absolutely above, oh my gosh, the kid at Alabama.
The running back?
No, the wide receiver. Why can I not think of his name right now? But I think Malachi Toney has bumped ahead of him and is potentially the number 2 wide receiver in the country this season. Number 1, obviously, being Jeremiah Smith. But Malachi Toney is just fantastic. And you're rolling most of the same roster. I think Mario Cristobal always has his teams ready to go. He did it when he was in Oregon. He's doing it now that he's in Miami. So I actually expect Miami to go 11-1 in the regular season, and that one game they lose is to Notre Dame, and it can't be by a lot. If they want to make it in, and I'm actually buying Miami to make it into the college football playoff this season. I'm that high on Mark Fletcher.
Ryan Coleman Williams and
Ryan Williams, yeah.
Yeah. So was he a junior this year?
Yeah, he's going in his 3rd season. Him and Jeremiah Smith are the same recruiting class.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. Now, Texas has got a wide receiver who probably
Cam Coleman
just transferred in there. Cam, God bless him. He was just in there in purgatory in Auburn with a kid that couldn't throw a football. So, which I'm not high on Texas, but that kid might have an unbelievable season
Well,
if
some of these
Texas
highlight catches that they're sharing from fall camp this year, I don't know who's throwing the football to him at this point either. Because if that's Arch Manning, Texas is in for a very long season.
That's some of the highlights you could never mind. We won't get into it. Yeah, some of those highlights look like they might have been set up just a little bit. Indiana at number 6.
Third most first place votes, by the way. Indiana.
I think they have a better quarterback than they had last year.
Yeah, so I think people do not like that take that I put out there on the Waterboys Instagram. If you haven't followed us, go follow us, by the way. They're like, what are you talking about? Fernando Mendoza just won the Heisman. Yes. So did Tim Tebow. Is he a good quarterback? Like, let's have this conversation. Like, let's be real at having a conversation about quarterback play. Do I think Josh Hoover is a better football player overall than Fernando Mendoza? Probably not. But I do think that Josh Hoover can play the quarterback position the way it's supposed to be played in the modern college football better than Fernando Mendoza could. That's where that take comes from for us, I think.
Yes, and I think Josh Hoover fits Cignetti's offense better. Like, if you watch what Fernando Mendoza did in that offense, and then you watch Josh Hoover at TCU last year, you go, oh, he can do everything Fernando Mendoza can do, except for there's a little bit more zip on the football.
Yeah, the ball jumps out of his hand differently.
Better. Yeah, his release is quicker. He's got a lot more pocket awareness. He's going to have a better offensive line at Indiana than he had at TCU, but he still has that ability to make plays. Whereas Fernando Mendoza, and guys, if you watch this, you're Indiana fan, you think I'm upset. I root for a school that had a guy that had had two operations on his knees and had 2 knee braces in Jason White win a Heisman and did not take a snap in the NFL. Not the greatest college football team, debatedly, of all time in Miami, had a guy who was serviceable at quarterback in 2001. You can win a college football national championship without having some NFL stud at quarterback. It happens all the time.
Every single one of Alabama's national championships, except for 2 of them.
Yes.
100%. I mean, not saying that like Mac Jones wasn't a stud and that some of the guys that were, AJ McCarron, like that era, the early era of Nick Saban's time, they're not saying that they weren't studs, but like they weren't going number 1 overall.
Yeah, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can have a serviceable quarterback that knows how to run your offense and be very successful, or you can have a guy who is a absolute ringer at quarterback and he can drag you to a national championship, a la Cam Newton at Auburn. Both those things can be true. Fernando Mendoza is not the reason Indiana won a national championship, and that is okay. If he was a world beater, an unbelievable player, he would not be sitting the bench this year for Las Vegas and starting a guy who is this close to getting AARP, benefits. Like, they're starting Kirk Cousins. So you're telling me Fernando Mendoza is not better than 44-year-old Kirk Cousins? Like, 2 things can be true. But I will say, the only thing that I will say has me buying Indiana is twofold. Cignetti has decided they will play an incredibly soft schedule. Like
the back half of their schedule sucks.
Yeah, he's taken out any non-conference games that matter, and the back half of their schedule is terrible. And that's not a bad thing.
It sucks for them. Like they have to play a terrible schedule for the last half of the season. If Indiana makes it through that, like, my God, they might repeat.
Yeah, they're gonna, and I don't like that he took out their conference games that matter, but I also understand where we're at on that. It's a huge reason I think Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma is he saw these home and homes that the athletic department was putting together and was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to have to do this. But, if they make it through there, I think they definitely make the college football playoff. Do I think they have everything to repeat? I have no idea. But they did get, 8 first place votes?
Yeah, they got the third most first place votes.
So, it is what it is. I'll buy them
Yeah.
going to
Yeah,
the
I think
CFB.
I think their roster is going to be plenty talented this year. We've already talked about the Josh Hoover of it all, but they still have Charlie Becker. And I think the chemistry between Josh Hoover and Charlie Becker has already gone crazy this fall. And I think they had the spring together too, so that actually helps them with all of that. So that's actually a huge benefit for them. And then they lost two really solid running backs. And their two best receivers, Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper. But they are replacing the running backs. I'm looking at their stats from last season. Kobe Martin averaged 6.5 a carry last season, and then Lee Beebe Jr. averaged 7.7 a carry last season. And they brought in a transfer named Turbo Richard, who I think averaged just over 5.5 a carry last season at Boston College. So I think Indiana is going to be fine. I think their defense is still going to be very good. They might not be number 1, number 2, number 3 defense, however you want to rank the defenses from last season. But I think if they take a step back on defense, just like Ohio State, I think their offense might take a step forward this season. So I think it'll be okay. And I might, I don't know, because, if you look at Indiana's schedule, the second half of the season starting in, really October 10th, I think, is when it starts for them. These are when all the TBD times happen because Big Noon Kickoff hasn't picked all their freaking games for the next second half of the season yet. October 10th at Nebraska. Not an easy out. October 17th, home against The Ohio State University. October 24th, at Michigan. October 31st, home against Minnesota. Not an easy out. Right. November 14th, they're off the first weekend of November, and then November 14th, they're home against USC. November 21st, at Washington. And then they finish the season at home against Purdue. So, between October 17th and November 21st, they play 4 ranked teams in 5 games.
Right.
So I think I might sell Indiana this season right now. Let's have this conversation again in 2 months, and then we'll see where we're at. But I just think, like, with the nature of how tough their schedule is, how good I think Michigan will probably be by late October. I think USC is going to be fantastic this year. I think Washington's going to be very good this year. And you're going to Washington, which is not an easy place to play. Just looking at those games, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Washington, I can see Indiana losing to at least 2 of those and potentially a third, depending on how things go in Washington and how things go at Michigan. So, you guys know how I feel. 3 losses. I don't think you should get in unless you win your conference championship game. You have to either win 10 games or lose less than 3 games. And if they lose 3 games, they will not be able to win their 10th game in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, the only thing that is going to be interesting for me is obviously they're going to have a good offensive line. This will be the 3rd year that they've had a really good offensive line.
Yeah.
And I think they got a kid at quarterback who can march you down the field and win a game by himself. And then you get into the red zone and you've got some stuff at running back, because between the running back and your offensive line, I think that could be interesting. Coming in, let's see here, number 5, Texas. They got no first place votes, which I think is telling.
Yeah, AP voters are seeing something.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously there's the Arch Manning of it all, and we have our feelings on Arch Manning as a whole. Texas did add some stuff at wide receiver that's really gonna, be a threat if they can get him the ball. I don't like how like Texas fans are acting as if he had no weapons on offense last year, and that's why he didn't perform well. Yeah, you need to go back and watch film the first half of the season. That didn't have anything to do with a lack of open receivers at wide receiver for Texas. They have a really solid offensive line. But they are, for the first time since they got into the SEC, now experiencing the thing that Oklahoma fans have been complaining about since Oklahoma and Texas went to the SEC, and that is the schedule. Texas had a much more favorable schedule the last 2 seasons than they do this year.
Yeah, they have the second
Obviously,
toughest schedule going into the season right now in the entire
was it
country.
Arkansas? Does Arkansas have
Yeah,
one?
Arkansas
Second
always
year in
has
a
the
row.
hardest schedule. I feel like it's
Good
just poor
God.
Hogs, man. They might win 3 games this year.
It'll be like last year. There'll be games where you're like, they're actually being competitive, but it's just horrible. They're having these back-to-back horrible SEC matchups. They open up against Texas State. They should win that. But listen, you want to buy us a team low that's going to be good in the next 5 to 8 years? Texas State. There's so much money going into that school right now.
That is true.
They're going to be good. I think they're going to lose at Ohio State. And we can talk about this a little bit more with the Ohio State game or towards the end about expectations for the season. I think they might get run off the field against Ohio State. Then they go play UTSA, and then this is their run. Buckle up, Longhorns fans, because you're not going to win all 4 of these. You might lose 3 of them. I have no idea. You got to play at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Then you get a week off, and you're going to play Oklahoma in the Red River game. Then you got to play Florida, and we have no idea where John Summerall and Florida are going to be by that point.
Does anybody know what's going on with that program right now? No idea.
That scares me. I think John Summerall is a good young coach, and I think he's a keep your mouth closed, just put your head down, coach football coach. So I have no idea what they're going to be. Then they got to play Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Missouri, LSU, Arkansas, A&M. Texas fans, find me 10 wins here. Find me 10. I'm having a hard time looking at this schedule. It is not a lack of talent for Texas. This is the exact same thing that Oklahoma has been talking about for the last few seasons. It's not that they're bad. It's that you look at their schedule and go, do you really think you're going to win 10 games? Like, I think they lose Ohio State. There's one. You're telling me they're going to play Tennessee, Oklahoma, Florida, A&M, Mississippi, Missouri, Mississippi State, Missouri, LSU, and Texas A&M, and they're going to win. They're going to win 8 of those?
That's what I think. That's what I think the AP voters are thinking. Having them at 5 right now. I think that they're pretty high on them going into the season. But yeah, I think you're right. And I feel like we've been beating a dead horse with the Arch Manning conversation, all offseason long. But like, if it doesn't work this year, I mean, what does that mean for Sark's future? Like, I feel like both of them, Arch Manning for like his future in the NFL, Sark for his future as a head coach of the Texas Longhorns. Like, I feel like they're going to be back up against the wall a little bit all season long. And when you're kind of in that spot, like, you tend to make mistakes. So it's going to be interesting. Yes. I think we're going to learn a lot more come week 2, that Ohio State game. But right now, I think I'm buying Texas making it into the college football playoff.
Do you agree with me, though, that it's probably looking at their schedule?
It's a tough out.
Yeah, but I do think the college football gods love this, and I think they're going to make it happen. I think it's going to come down to that November 27th game against Texas A&M, whether or not they make the college football playoff.
Yeah, because I can see 2 losses before they get there.
Yeah,
and if they have to win that game. If they win that game, they're in.
Yeah,
So
that could be interesting. All right. Number 4, Notre Dame.
bye.
Full disclosure, I have them in the college football national championship.
I do as well. I think it's going to be a repeat of the first 12-team playoff college football national championship game. I don't know how the outcome's going to be. I think it's going to be the same 2 teams as the 2024 year.
The fact that they are getting so much negative press,
it's Notre Dame.
But I think this year it's even more because of the new rule to get them into the college football playoff. I think it's given people who just hate Notre Dame because they're Notre Dame more reasons to hate them. And I don't like the rule. And I'm a Notre Dame guy. I like Notre Dame as a school. I like what they're doing as a program. I like the culture that they've built. But they do have, that's the thing they have over Texas, is they have a rule that is in place that if they, do well, then they're going to get into the college football national championship. Now, if you look at their schedule, let me pull it back up here. It is not as bad as people think.
No, it's really not. They have a tougher schedule than Miami does, and Miami plays in the ACC. I don't know what we're doing here. So let me see. Notre Dame. Well, I guess Notre Dame has the 57th ranked strength of schedule, and Miami has the 45th ranked strength of schedule. But as of right now, Notre Dame has more ranked opponents on their schedule than Miami does.
Yes, I mean, they're going to play Michigan State. Not great, but for your 3rd game of the season, it's respectable. They're going to play at Purdue, at North Carolina, Stanford, at BYU. That's no slouch game. BYU might be, depending on who you listen to, it's either BYU or Texas Tech, the 2 best teams in the Big 12. They're going to play in Foxborough against Navy. That game's going to be electric. That'll be a ton of fun to watch. Then they're going to play Miami, Boston College, SMU, and they're at Syracuse. That is not horrible.
No, and
it's not great.
Yeah, but also at the same time, they'll be in the college football playoff.
Yes.
If a team wins 11 games, they're making it to the college football playoff, regardless of who they are.
And they might be healthier.
The whole freaking conversation.
Playoff?
Yeah, the whole freaking conversation last season around Texas getting left out was because Texas scheduled a hard game at the beginning of the year. Everybody said if Texas scheduled Rice week 1 instead of Ohio State week 1, then they would have been in the college football playoff. Yes. If you win your games, you make it to the college football playoff. Notre Dame is going to win their games, so they will be in the college football playoff. The whole concept about their strength of schedule is trash. Who cares? Indiana's wasn't very good last year, and look what Indiana freaking did. They held Ohio State to 10 points in the Big Ten championship game and went on and became the first 16-0 national champion that we've ever seen. So, it's just a stupid conversation. I'm at this point, I feel like we've had the same. If you're a college football person, we've been having this conversation about Notre Dame for 15 years. And I'm tired of having the conversation. And I've got bags under my eyes from having to talk about this stuff with Notre Dame going. It's just you play who's on your schedule. If you beat them, you're in. Now, if you lose to some of these teams on your soft schedule, that's going to open up the conversation. I don't think Notre Dame's going to lose to any of these teams on their schedule because I think Notre Dame is that good. And I love Marcus Freeman.
And give me a second, leave it on my notes. Hold on. I had somebody ask me, said, well, then why does anybody schedule tough teams in their non-conference? If you're a team like Notre Dame or you're Ohio State, you're in Oklahoma, Michigan.
You are the tough game.
You are the tough game. You're the team that everybody circles on their schedule. And I don't think people understand what that is like. And a lot of times we hear most of the Notre Dame hate from teams like Indiana, Purdue, Michigan. when you're a team that is perennially good, you are a college football blue blood. You are like when you go to your schedule as a fan and you got 3 or 4 games that you circle and you go, boy, these are the games I got to watch. You are the circled on every other team's schedule. That is why you schedule either tough or easy depending on how your coach views it. Indiana, Kirk Cignetti now views it, now that they've won a national championship, he says, hey, now that we are the team with a target on our back, I don't want to go play tough schedule out of conference. If you're a team that's decided that that's what you want to do, you're the Texas, the Ohio States, the Oklahomas, the Michigans that say we're going to play a tough out of conference schedule. Your assumption is if we get ourselves in the college football playoff, having that win on our record is now going to give us a better seed in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So, maybe you get a first round bye. And if a first round bye comes down to you played so-and-so, great. That's what that's there for. If you're SMU, you're Miami, you're a team who is just gotten good the last few years, you just need to get in. But if you're a college football blue blood, your goal is to not just get in, your goal is to be able to play, a favorable schedule. You look at a couple of years ago, we were like, man, these teams that are playing Boise State and SMU, they're getting a gimme in their first game in the college football playoff. But you go look at their schedule, it's like, yeah, they had a tough schedule. Notre Dame doesn't. People need to stop acting as if Notre Dame. Here's what I think people think happens. All the college football programs get in a room, and Notre Dame gets to choose them like they're choosing a kickball team to set up their schedule. That is not how this works.
No, not at all.
They get a certain amount of games from the ACC. The ACC controls what games those are, and then they go schedule it. If people think that every time Notre Dame, their athletic director calls an athletic director from another school and says, we'd like to play you in 2030, that every time those schools say yes, that's just ludicrous. It doesn't matter. Notre Dame could tomorrow say, we are going to put together the hardest schedule. The college football teams that would play them are not obligated to say yes to playing them. USC said no.
Yeah. Why is USC not getting any flack on that side of things?
Everyone acts as if, Notre Dame's not playing USC. USC is the reason they're not playing. It has nothing to do with Notre Dame. And if you believe this conspiracy theory that it was Notre Dame who said no, this is the same college football coach who left a conference because he didn't want to go to the SEC. He went and left his school in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And then, by the way, that team's actually going to join the Big Ten in 2 years.
and I promise you, if he had known that, he would not have gone to USC. He would have gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame does not. It's not their fault that their schedule is soft.
Yeah.
And if they were in a conference, I don't know that it would be much work, because the logical move everybody thinks is the Big Ten. But they could choose to go to the ACC. They already play a partial ACC schedule.
Yeah. No, for sure. But yeah, I'm buying Notre Dame. And then these last three, I'm going to wrap up here pretty quickly. But these last three, Georgia at 3, Oregon at 2, and Ohio State at 1. I'm buying all three of these teams. I don't know how you feel about them too.
We got to stop pretending that Georgia is not a top 3 job. I am so sick and tired. They got no first place votes. Everyone acts crazy. Like he might be the most disrespected head coach in college
Miami
football.
Got a first place vote and Georgia didn't get one.
I'm so tired of it.
Like Kirby Smart, I could go to bat for Kirby Smart being the best coach in college football right now.
Yes.
Like easily. And my favorite team's head coach is Ryan Day. I think that Kirby Smart really is that good. I think Gunnar Stockton is going to be leaps and bounds ahead of where he was last season. If these Georgia players can just hire Uber drivers, like they will have no issues going into this season. And you know, I feel the same way about Oregon and Ohio State. You know, for some reason, people are talking about people aren't talking about Oregon being national championship favorites. I'm like, what are you freaking talking about? This is the most complete Oregon team we have ever seen, coached by the best possible coach to coach that combination of
100%.
players on this roster. And then people are talking about Ohio State losing 3 games. I'm like, do you realize the last time Ohio State won fewer than 10 games was the year that they had Luke Fickell as their head coach, which was the year before Urban Meyer came to town? Ohio State doesn't lose 3 games. Like they lose 3 games. Ohio State doesn't win fewer than 10 games. Like that's just not something Ohio State does. So like, I think when we talk about this specifically this year's top 3, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, I think people need to be a little bit more realistic about the conversations that they're having when it comes to college football, and like take off your and we're pro bias on the Waterboys College Football Show. Like we think objectivity is overrated, but also at some point you just have to take off your moron glasses and say, okay, yeah, Ohio State is like this is the first time Ryan Day has had the returning starter at quarterback since CJ Stroud. We all remember what that offense looked like. That offense didn't have Bo Jackson, Chris Henry Jr., Jeremiah Smith, Brandon Ennis, and the entire offensive line coming back. Oh, by the way, they're coached by Arthur Smith on offense. Like that, like I don't think people are looking at Ohio State the way that they should be. The same way I don't think people are looking at Oregon and Georgia the way that they should be, because these 3 are without a doubt the 3 best teams in the country.
100%
going into the season.
All right, we'll do 1 minute here. Expectations for the 2026 college football season. We'll probably do a full video on this, but number one thing trending, and I think the question that everyone wants answered, the Big Ten versus SEC. I called it the Cold War because that's kind of what it feels like. And I would love to know in the comments if you're either watching the live show or you're watching the video. Two things can be true. 2 things can be true. The SEC can be the most tough conference, top to bottom, and the Big Ten still being outperforming it in the college football playoff. 2 things can be true. So SEC fans, like your team's not performing well in the college football playoff. You need to come to terms with that. Big Ten fans, the bottom third of your conference is abysmal. It is absolutely horrendous. Now, if you're SEC, if you have the hardest schedule, you have the hardest conference, shouldn't you be a little more battle tested going into the college football playoff and be able to win games? The answer is right now, no. If you're the Big Ten, you need to come to terms with that Mississippi State and Syracuse are not the same.
Syracuse is not in the Big Ten.
Well, they're on the schedule, aren't they? They're not Syracuse. Was it Maryland? That's
Maryland.
who we were comparing them to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mississippi State,
Purdue.
Maryland, not the same.
Yeah.
Purdue, not the same. So those are the 2 things that I think everyone needs to come to terms with. That is the big question that I am wanting answered by week 6. Is the top echelon teams I think are going to be the top echelon teams. Both conferences need to come to terms with one of you is not performing well in the college football playoff. One of you has an abysmal bottom third of your conference. And those 2 things are okay.
Right. But, I mean, let's be honest. Like, no one has ever measured the SEC by how good Mississippi State or Kentucky is.
No,
just
this
like
is a new thing this year.
No one's ever measured the Big Ten by how good freaking Purdue and Maryland are. Like, you measure the talent of the conference by the 5 best teams in the conference. And I think the Big Ten's 5 best teams would beat the SEC's 5 best teams if they lined up head to head every single week. But I think
say that.
My expectations for this season, I think we are in for an absolute freaking treat of a year of college football this year. I think the talent at wide receiver, the talent at quarterback, the talent at running back, the talent on defense, I think it is just like nationwide, the talent is spread all across the country. And like Oklahoma State's quarterback might be a Heisman dark horse this year, people. Like, that's what I mean when we're talking about, like, this is going to be a fantastic year of college football. Going into this, this upcoming NFL draft in 2027, after this season takes place and everything, like, we're going to have, there are 5 quarterbacks in this draft class that I think would have gone before Fernando Mendoza last season. Because I think the talent for these guys this season is going to be so off the charts. Arch Manning, Julian Sand, oh my gosh, Moore out of Oregon, Mayava out of USC, Josh Hoover at Indiana, Gunnar Stockton, Trinidad Chambliss, Sam Levitt. Just the list goes on and on and on. It's going to be so much fun to watch this season. So freaking buckle up, dude. It's week 0. We're getting into it. And I cannot wait to talk about it every single week this entire season.
8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. Every Saturday during college football season, the Waterboys pregame show. We get you started before the game start. Today is week 0. If you haven't yet, make sure that you follow us here on either the Waterboys College Football Show YouTube channel, or if you're following us and watching on the Facebook page, shout out to the good Lord, what 3,000 new followers that we
we passed 6K this week. That's crazy.
Yeah, so shout out to all the new followers that we've got over on Facebook. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Next week we will be talking the new games that will be or the week 1 games that will be happening. We'll be probably looking at some of what happened in the week 1 games, and portal chaos and revenue share will be a trending topic that we'll be talking about next week as well. There are some thoughts. Does high school recruiting still matter, or is it just transfer portal? And how much of that actually matters? Does it matter when your team announces that they have their number 1 recruiting class that they've had in the last 10 years, when half of those guys could transfer before they ever step foot on campus? So that'll be something we're talking about. Make sure you follow us all over social media, and we will